Good day, my fellow Nigerians. In this discourse, I want to talk about development of work ethic as the first step towards the great future we all envisage or the future we all desire. One truth I want us to realize and factor into the equation of our growth is that if we must grow as a nation, first, we must, it's not optional, we must develop work ethic because we don't have it in Nigeria. We don't have work ethic. Now, the twin truth that is associated with this is that the political class can never and will never be able to salvage Nigeria from our economic pit. Why? Because, one, they do not have what it takes. I don't care who will put up there, because the truth is, the leadership of a people is a perfect reflection of the minds of the people. And the leadership of a people is, they epitomize or they symbolize the cherished ideals of the people. So if you go to a place and everybody there likes to flex, likes to cruise, or like to do hookup, that's what you see in the leadership. If you go to a place and everybody is decent, move with integrity and do what is right, that is what you see in the leadership. So the political leaders cannot take us anywhere. So yes, though maybe yes, we may succeed in putting a good man in office. But one thing I want to let us know is that when you have a good man in office and you have a bad people, my brother, my sister, we're not going anywhere. Now, if we travel down memory lane a little, let's look at the past 3 presidents we have had. First, we had Yaradua, very good man, brought in due process, which actually reduced corruption to an extent. But when he was in office, how did we see him? They will complain, this man, stupid man. If we do only 3-point agenda, now why do 7? At least if like saying do 3, if we achieve 1. We keep complaining and complaining and complaining. The man died. Next thing was, Jonathan is the savior. He will save Nigeria. I did not go to school. I trekked from here to here, play. And we felt the savior has come. How many months? Did he stop to 6 months? This man is clueless. Does he know what he's doing? Towards the end of his term, if we remove politics aside, a lot of people wanted change, and we so much believed in Buhari. Where are we today? Now, the point I want to let us know is not that these people are bad. My dear, if we leave politics aside, these are some of the best leaders we could have as a nation. But there's a problem. That problem is in Nigeria itself. We have a laissez-faire attitude, a careless, nonchalant attitude towards anything that has to do with growth. Because first, we don't believe in hard work. Before I come to that, okay, let me define what I mean by, or what is work ethic for those of us who don't understand. If I read through this, it says work ethic is the belief that work and diligence have moral benefits and the ability of virtue to strengthen character and individual abilities. It is a set of values centered on the importance of work and manifested by a determination to work hard. I'm going to come back to this definition as we go on in this discourse. But now, we have seen that we've had political leaders whom had integrity or whom have integrity. Because we just have one of the 3 leaders as late. The other 2 are still alive. These are good men. These are principled people. These are disciplined people. These are people who have the capacity. So what happened? There is something wrong with the system. Now, I like to paint a picture for us. I remember in those days in my secondary school, we're going to school at Igruta Road in Port Harcourt, actually. And somewhere around Okoro roundabout, sometimes you see a policeman controlling traffic. But always behind this policeman, there was a military man who stood with an AK-47 or a rifle. And he had the full regalia like somebody who was going to war. He had all those, their pocket, knife everywhere, everything. And he had his gun. Now, when you see him, he's not controlling the traffic, but he's always around, beside the one controlling the traffic. If it's an army personnel, if it's a policeman, because as at then, that Rumokoro junction was not as it is now. As at now that I'm doing this video, this February 13, 2023, I'm talking about the 90s, 94, 95, 96. So that place was like a hazard. Now, one day something happened. My dad was in town. He had to take us to school. And on our way, him and his friend who was sitting in the front seat, they picked up a conversation. And they were talking about that army personnel who was there and why he should not be there. So my dad now said that a society that needs this amount of force to put them in check, there's something wrong with that society. Now, what that man in full regalia with his rifle was doing, he was just a supporter to the traffic controller. Because Nigeria is a place where the law, is trying to put people in check and lie, they no agree. You stop people and they are like, why you go stop me? Why you go be me where you go stop? And they are moving. Leadership. So that's why you see somebody with an AK-47. Now, for me, as a young man or as a young boy then, I knew something was not all right with that army personnel standing there. Because I remember sometime in the late 80s, there was something I saw in the news, in the newspaper. There was a debate that was going on in the British Parliament. They said they did not want policemen to be having guns. Because psychologically, for a civilian to see gun was psychologically intimidating. So they now passed the law. I think as at then, it was only maybe inspector or a high-ranking policeman that could carry his gun. But what the policemen in Britain were carrying were baton. Now, these people that are following the law. One thing we need to realize in Nigeria is that we have a lot of cabals. We hear cabal every day. Some of us always just think, it's the cabal in the political class. It is a lie. Because you and I are cabals. And one of those cabals, one of the things we do as a cabal is that we are a terrible follower. Because the day Nigeria will realize that we have a worse followership than the leadership, that's the day we have taken the first step in realizing our problem. Now, Nigeria is a place where we have what I call economic saboteur cabal. If a market woman buys oil today, and 2 days later, the price of oil in the market increases as a result of inflation. That one she bought 3 days ago or 2 days ago, she changes the price. Now, let's analyze this. You're making life difficult for people, but you believe it's the government that is bad. The government made the situation bad for everybody. But in your own capacity, you're worse than the government. I'm not saying the government has tried. No. For me, if you ask me, I don't know what I would grade the government, because being what is erroneously called a perfectionist, I like things done very nice and to the highest standard. Even I myself, in everything I do, okay, let me use a simple illustration. Like in most apps, if you're using app on your Android phone, sometimes I tell you, go and rate us. I've never rated an app 4/5. I always rate an app 3. No matter how good the app is, no matter how good what you're doing is, I rate you 3. Because I believe that if I rate you 4, it gets into your head, then you stop developing. So I rate you 3 so that your R&D, your research crew will research more and improve on your services. The only people I've rated 5/5 are my assistants in my web host, where I host my website. Because if you have a challenge on your site, and sometimes, like, I've used a lot of hosts before I finalize with who I am, with the people I am now. If you have problems on your site, sometimes problems that can keep your site offline, which is like a taboo for a webmaster. Now, when I went through a lot of web hosts, sometimes some hosts, you send them a message and they reply you 2 days later. But like, I was using one of my web hosts, Scala Hosting. I used them for over 8 years. Now, when I send message, sometimes in 15 minutes I get a reply, and that is heaven for me as a webmaster, because I've faced serious problems. So those are the only people I've rated 5. Now, the current web host I'm with now, I also rate them 5 because they are fast in replying my messages. So that's the only place. So if you ask me to rate our government, I don't know what I'll rate them. But if you ask me to rate we the Nigerians, we the people that are being led, I will tell you that I will rate us -20. Because we don't have a national conscience towards building Nigeria. A lot of us are just complaining because life is difficult. And complaining is different from making efforts to right the wrong. What do I mean? Now, like, let's assume you're living in a neighborhood and your transformer goes bad. Maybe everybody is so comfortable, nonchalant. Buy fuel and using their generator at night. Then one day maybe you're sitting with your neighbor and say, what is happening, sir? There's no light. Let somebody do something now. Who is that person that will leave his house, the comfort of his house, and come and do something for you to enjoy? Why don't you start it? If there is no electricity committee in that street or in that neighborhood, why don't you start one? Why don't you walk up to people and let them know that this is bad? But you find that in most cases, when things like this go bad, everybody just relaxes. Nobody cares. And in some neighborhoods, the people that do this, the people that constitute these communities are the ones that are just volunteering and carrying it on their head. Yes, we've had cases of where people contributed money, transformer this and transformer, somebody ran away with it. Once bitten, twice shy. If you've gone through that process, then the next thing is to implement a checkmate that prevents that from happening, not relaxing in your house. So we have a nonchalant attitude. We sabotage the economy through our attitude, our behavior, our everything. Because in Nigeria, you employ somebody in your company, the first thing that is ringing in his head is how to chop the company down and siphon it to his own account. He's not interested in whether the company is growing. That's not his business. But we want economic growth. How? It can't come. Because the leadership is a reflection of the people. Now, let me paint a picture. When I say the leadership is a reflection of a people, or why our political class cannot take us anywhere, it's simply because a good people cannot have a bad leadership, and a bad people cannot have a good leadership. If a good people have a bad leadership, it is very easy for them to unseat that leadership and install a good one. Same thing, if a bad people have a good leadership, it will be very easy for them to unseat that leadership and put a bad man. I'll paint a simple picture. If you belong to maybe any committee or association or something, maybe in your place of worship, your church, mosque, shrine, ashram, or whatever, And there's a committee that maybe they don't chop plenty money. Maybe building committee. Everybody, they don't chop money where. Everybody knows that money is flowing there. And they bring in somebody. And the man is a man of integrity. And he wants to stop that chopping overnight. When more than 95% of the people in that committee are criminals, stealing the church money or stealing the mosque money or stealing the committee money. What do you think will happen to that man? He will die like fowl. They will kill him. Why? Because he is not moving according to the plan. He's not moving according to the level of the followership. He's moving according to his own noble ideals. And if you're here, the people you're leading are here, it can't work. It will never work. Okay, let me give us another illustration. Now, this is something that happens in a university, tertiary institution. You're a course rep. The lecturer has given you one assignment, as everybody submit your assignment. Even if it's a simple thing that can be done in less than 3 hours, he gives you people 2 weeks and say, okay, 2 weeks Monday, submit this assignment. Maybe that Monday morning, one court boy will come and meet you, say, give me this person assignment, let me copy that one and give you. And you know your lecturer will identify that this one copied from this one. Now, let's leave the dilemma of what you do, because I know some course reps go to the extra mile of having to do these assignments for these general bad men. Now, let's assume that this course rep wants to explain or convince this court boy that he actually came to school to learn, not to join a cult and start copying from other people's work. Is it possible? Can he explain to him? Or after explaining, will he be able to remain in that school? This is a leader. This is somebody who was assigned to lead you. But he can't talk to you. Why? Because the one is a court boy. According to my younger brother, he calls them SS3 boys. He's an SS3 boy. So why will you, a junior student, come and talk to him about what he's supposed to do? The point I'm trying to make is that when a leader is working above the followership, it doesn't work. Even in cases where you're not an official leader, but you're trying to guide the people, it doesn't work. I remember one day I was in a taxi in Port Harcourt Aba Express Road. We're heading towards Garrison. So we were in traffic just in front of Park and Shop. So we were in traffic. The traffic was just moving. So there was this taxi driver in front of us whom used the carton to cover his exhaust pipe. Now, when I saw it, the first thing that rang in my head was, this is an unsafe act. So I was now wanting our driver to shift closer. So I will now tell the other driver that, look, this carton you used is not so nice, because the carton had dried up. It was going black. The next thing was to catch fire. So somehow I think the taxi driver, the taxi I was in, the driver knew what I wanted to do. He just cautioned me and said, leave that man. I was like, no, why I go leave him now? That thing is not good. So when our taxi got closer to him, I now told the man that, Oga, see, this is your carton. It will soon catch fire. Jesus Christ. The man started abusing me. Now, he saw it like I was insulting him. So he started abusing me. Now, unfortunately for me, the man was also stopping somebody at Garrison where I wanted to stop. And very unfortunately, my taxi driver stopped just behind him. And he came out to the boot to open the boot for his passenger to carry her load. And I came down from the taxi I was. As soon as I came down, that was where the main original cursing started. He abused me, useless man. I no go buy moto. I can't tell him nothing to do for a moto. This, that. In embarrassment, I had to run and cross the road. Now, let's analyze this. This is somebody who's ignorant. Because what he did, in a company that safety is important, you can't try that. But I was trying to tell him that this is not so nice. And he was abusing me. Why? I'm correcting him. Because in Nigeria, you don't correct people. We live our lives anyhow. Okay? So one truth we need to know is that the leadership of a people is a reflection of the minds of the people. And when a leadership is different from the cherished ideals of the people, it won't work. So back to my topic, economic liberation. Economic liberation is a crucial one that we must take into consideration if we want to move further. And for us to move that further, we have to develop work ethic. Yes, sometimes some of us will say, where I work is where I go chop, work chop. So you chop where you are working. Yes, it is good to chop where you are working until you own a company where you employ people. That's when you understand what you've actually done. There's something I always say, that one of the problems bedeviling Nigeria is not lack of jobs, rather lack of qualified people to man the available jobs. Because most places you go, a lot of people are only thinking of themselves. People don't think about the organization they are working in. If you want to try it, if you have some money, open up a business, no matter how little it is. Open up a business, stay there, monitor the business and see how much you are making, how the business flows on the different days. Then after a while, pull out, employ somebody and put him there and see how much that business makes. All professions in Nigeria, A to Z, none has integrity. None. Not even in the religious circle. No profession, even all those ones that call themselves professionals, lawyers, doctors, and all those, whatever. None has integrity. Why? Me, myself, and I work chop. Where you work is where you chop. And some of us say, if politicians are chopping, why can't I chop where I'm chopping? And for that, I'm going to ask us a question. That question is this, let me give us a little story. Let's assume you have a daughter, very fine girl, very pretty girl, whom you love so much. You have planned a great future for her. She will go to Harvard. She will school here. She will school here. She will do this. She will become maybe a lawyer or a doctor or a diplomat. You have planned this future for her. And you now send her to an expensive secondary school. Then inside that school, one teacher, General Badman, going to torchlight her. Because of the torchlight, she gets pregnant. As if that's not enough, she has HIV. Now, let's assume that teacher, maybe you took him to court. And while they were talking about it, maybe when the judge now asked the teacher, "Boy, why you do this girl this kind of thing?" And the teacher is like, "I saw one man that did it last year and he went free, or I saw him. So because he did it, I felt I could do it too, so I've done it." And when this man says this thing, he expects you, the parent of that child, to forgive him. Because he has seen somebody else who did it. So he has the right to do it to your daughter. Would you, as a parent, forgive that man because somebody else has done it? and he copied the person. If you will not forgive that man, why then do we steal? Because we see our leaders stealing. When our leaders are chopping and you too start chopping in your own place of work, it's not because the leaders are chopping. Even if the leaders were not chopping, you will chop. The point is that it is the ideal we all value. And so, we have to chop. Okay? So, that the fact that our political class are known for collecting money into private pockets is not a guarantee and should not be a guarantee for anybody to be work chopping. If you are work chopping, you are the same with those people. And that is why they will always remain there. Because everybody respects them like king. Even the religious institutions are so embarrassingly worshipping these people. Why? Because you want their own. Then you go behind and say, Chai, our leaders are bad though. Hey. Are you good? So, if we must develop a work ethic, we have to go beyond this work chop mentality. Because that is what has kept Nigeria the way it is. That's why we keep degenerating. Every generation is worse than the previous one. The Nigeria of 1980 is not the same with the Nigeria of today. The Nigeria of 1990 is not the same with the Nigeria of... Even the Nigeria of 2000 is not the same with what we have today. But there are some of us that are so corrupt-minded, I don't know, the virus in our head, that will still blame the British people for our problems of today. We'll blame it on our amalgamation. When even our parents of 1970-80 will be considered priests, pristine holy men, compared to what we have today. Today that you see somebody who calls herself decent girl will go to social media and be dancing half naked. And tomorrow she'll sing, carry me the go my husband's house. Where you can't even send children on errand. Because they took for money. There was a video I saw, I think on TikTok or thereabout, maybe Facebook, I don't know. I think that was last year. Of a young boy, I think 14 or 15, who took his friend to a native doctor to go and do blood money. It went viral. That's how today, Yahoo Boys is legal, is official. In fact, they are the people that the girls frolic to now. Because they're the people that have the money. You don't have money, which girl want to talk to you? Who girl wants to talk to you? Because you don't have money. So the morality of today can be like Sodom and Gomorrah compared to what we have in the 1980s and 1990s. Why does the generations keep degenerating? It's just a simple thing. The younger generation are more intelligent than the older ones. I did not say knowledge. I said more intelligent. Which has to do with application of resources to achieve aim. The younger generation are more intelligent. So they pick up the qualities they see in the older generation and modernize it. Add some innovations, and before you know what's happening, they are trending. They are making things work in their own way. So instead of the generations to become better as we're going down, we are going into the pits. That's why the Nigeria of today is Sodom and Gomorrah compared to what you have in 1990 or what you have in the 80s. And if proper care is not taken, the next 20 years, I'm afraid of who we will become. Because I know over 90% of our graduates that asked to give us they don't know nothing. They are unemployable. can't even write application letter. But we'll quote 6 figures for you as salary. When you ask how much I will pay you, quote one big money. But we want to grow. So I'll come back to this definition. Work ethic, which is what we must develop if we have to grow. I'll read it out again. Work ethic is the belief that work and diligence have moral benefits, an ability or virtue to strengthen character and individual abilities. It is a set of moral values centered on the importance of work and manifested by a determination to work hard. Now, the key word here is hard work, which is where I think some of us also have issues, because the generation of today, some of us deceive ourselves by telling ourselves that we live by His grace. We have redefined grace to fit into our careless philosophy of life. Now I'm going to define grace from another perspective that supports hard work. Grace is preparedness, creating opportunity. That is when your preparedness creates an opportunity for you, or when you're able to use your preparedness to create an opportunity for success. Grace is not unmerited favor. If it's like that, nobody will go to school. You sit down in your house and write a letter to one university. Give me PhD. Give me MSc. Give me professor. Give me this. Give me that. If you hear that Shell is paying big salary, you write to Shell. Pay me salary, I want to stay for us. That's grace. But life is not like that. Some of us may say, okay, yeah, Christ gave us grace. Yes. That one is a whole separate issue that is beyond the confines of this talk. Maybe I'll handle that some other day. But don't try to use the death of Christ as a reason for your laxity, for your carelessness. Now let me ask you a question. If you own a company that maybe you spent millions to open, and you need staff, amongst the qualities that you will list, if you want to put an application, if you want to put the vacancy online, are you going to list grace? Are you going to list it as one of the qualities? No. Some of you may say, I did not put in for this job, he came to me. I did not put in for this contract, he came to me. You did not put in for it, but someone recommended you because of what you've done in the past. It's your reputation that is working for you. Or someone who knows that you need this kind of job has put in 1 or 2 words for you. If you have been praying for 6 months for a husband or for a wife, and one day you meet a woman and you marry her, you had put in efforts, and the effort resulted in success. The point I want us to understand is that behind every success, or every success is preceded by hard work. Without hard work, you're not going anywhere in life. It's a very simple thing. I'll give us another illustration. If you open a company, you go to somewhere, maybe you have some, like some companies do today. They call people to come and do some presentation, your business ideas, how do you want to, a lot of stuff. And someone comes and says, maybe let's assume you manufacture shoes. Someone comes and says, okay, look, okay, we can write a proposal. We can start, you can start manufacturing sandals, rubber sandals, like this. And when you ask him, what is your marketing plan? How do we push this into the market? He says, don't worry, grace by grace, we will move it. the ideas will come. Another person comes and he gives you another idea. And you ask him, how do we market this? He gives you data, how many people are in that city or in that community, or how to spread from one community to another, or to have branches all over the place. And he's telling you that, look at the steps, we are from step 1 to 2 to step 3, step 4, step 5. Would you, as a business owner, go and adopt the idea of the man that told you grace will reveal how he will run the company? Or would you adopt the man that has given you steps that you will achieve success? Now, let's assume that you are in your place, maybe you're in your community. A company comes there. They need accountants, they need managers, they need engineers. Are they going to go and look for illiterates? How? Nobody is going to look for an illiterate. They will look for qualified people and put them in office. So life is not about grace. Life is about hard work. And look at the most successful nations. You have hard workers. So if we don't work hard, if we're waiting for work job and looking at that grace will locate us, unmerited favor, when you have never given any favor to anybody, you're looking for a helper that will locate you when you have never helped anybody, even your own friends, you don't help them. You're waiting for a helper to locate you. We will not go anywhere. We'll remain where we are. Instead, our future becomes bleak because nothing will happen. So if we agree that we can build a great Nigeria through work ethic, the first step that I want us to grab is that you have to dedicate yourself to your growth. What do I mean by dedication to growth? You have been employed in a company. The first thing you need to know is that, what is my job description? When you know your job description, then the next step is build yourself to become exceedingly excellent in your field. This involves research. You have to read. You have to listen to podcasts. You have to listen to teachings. You have to listen to courses. If possible, go online and buy courses. There's YouTube. There are other social media. There are so many places where you learn courses for free. And the truth is, whatever thing you're doing on this planet, except if you're doing something else in another planet like Jupiter or Mars or whatever. But whatever thing you're doing on this planet, if you go to YouTube and type courses on that thing or how to improve yourself, you will see millions of videos. You have the free ones. Then when you get to the advanced level, you can pay for some. Like when you start going to Coursera, Allison, and a few other learning sites. Develop yourself. Become grounded in what you are doing. Because that's the key to the growth of the company, because you are the growth of that company. If you, who is the man on ground, is not performing, it doesn't matter how much effort the management of that company puts into you. Even if they take you for training all over the world, if you do not improve on yourself, that company is going nowhere. So you need to train yourself. You need to become grounded. You need to understand what you are doing. You need to get to that stage where psychologists call flow. That stage where when you know so much about something, at the point you begin to do that thing with ease. Not the one that they call you to come and I disturb me. Every time you go to company, only me see for this company. No. You have to be dedicated to your own growth, because growing yourself would directly flow into the company and you grow the company. The company is you. So grow yourself, become efficient, become knowledgeable, seek for knowledge. Even the Bible tells us that a wise man makes learning his preoccupation. Seek knowledge, get wisdom, get understanding, get knowledge. Go and learn everything you can learn about what you are doing. Then step 2, understand your company vision. What is your company vision? What's your company goals? You need to understand these things, otherwise you can't add value to the company. Then you need to understand the workings of this company. What are the vision? What's the vision of this company? And currently, where are we in the line of this vision? What steps do we need to take to draw closer to this vision? In the journey of 1,000 miles, how many steps have we taken as a company? That's when you're beginning to become a part of the company. Not just asking for a salary, but now trying to improve this company. That's step 2. Understand your company goals, vision, dream, aspiration. Then understand the organizational structure so you know how to inject your knowledge. Because due to some organizational structures, the political settings in this company, sometimes it's difficult to implement growth. But it is your responsibility as a leader to find a way to grow the company. This is where I come to the third point. And that third point is that you need to become a leader in the company, not a manager. What's the difference between management and leadership? A manager is someone who does what he is paid to do. So he's payment oriented. A leader is a volunteer who volunteers to grow that company from point A to point B. A manager manages the resources, the things that are going on in the company. He manages them to stabilize things. Let's take, for instance, you're working in a hotel, and in a month you guys are able to serve between 800 to 2,000 customers. A manager comes in, he can manage it properly, that you serve these customers and they are okay and all that. That's a good manager. But the leader can come into this company and say, okay, if we're serving 2,000 customers maximum, how do we start serving 4,000? How do we start serving 5,000? And how do we start having different branches of this company? That's a leader. So you lead the company, you're not managing the company. And this is where the true effort, the task, the hard work that is required to grow the company is. Because leadership is all about vision creation. In one of my talks, I define leadership as the ability to create a vision, develop the self, and all that is instrumental to the achievement of that vision, and finally implementing the vision. So when you're working in a company as a leader, let's take for instance, like you're the manager, or even if you're a staff, it doesn't stop you from implementing growth. Get to your management and discuss certain things with them. You have to find a way to make your management understand that these ideas you're bringing can increase the growth of this company. Because if you're working in a company and you're not generating any ideas, then you're part of the problem. You're functioning at that management level. So for a nation to grow, for Nigeria to grow, we have to understand that where we are is not where we want to be. So we have to create an economic vision. This also implies that you as a businessman, you are thinking beyond me, myself, and I. You're thinking beyond building house. You're thinking beyond sending your children abroad to go to good schools. Now you're thinking about the economy of Nigeria as a whole and how your business, how your company helps to grow this Nigeria. That's the leadership we need. Not telling me politicians are not making good policies and all that. Who has ever made good policy? Or did they tell you that to grow a mega company is con job? Even in successful economies like you have in America and all that, to grow a successful company is not con job. It involves a lot of hard work, serious hard work. In fact, there's something I saw. Sometime a long time ago about they said IBM and Microsoft and Google. No, Microsoft had that policy where when they are interviewing somebody for a job, they're also assessing what they call your intellectual horsepower. So even if you're successful in so many areas, but your intellectual horsepower is low, bam, you're not getting that job. That's because these people understand the importance of growth. So we have to create an economic vision that goes beyond our personal businesses. We have to see the people we're employing as part of the economy. So that you don't employ somebody you're supposed to pay 100,000. You are paying him 40,000. And yet you want to use him for 20 hours a day. How do you want him to survive? You work him to death. And you want the economy to grow. You want your company to grow. When you're working with tired, exhausted, fagged out staff, unhappy, you can't produce success with a tired work crew. No, it's not done. That's not how life works. So if you want to grow your company, you have to understand how to treat your staff, how to create the vision, how to lead. And you as a staff working in a company, you have to see beyond the company. Look at the general economy of Nigeria. And understand that when your company grows from maybe right now your company, you have 10 staff or you have 20 staff or you have 100 staff. If you grow from that 100 to employing 4,000 people, it's not a crime. You have just given jobs to 3,900 people. And you have removed suffering from a lot of people's lives. So, Nigeria can grow. I believe we have the resources. I believe we have the intellectual horsepower. I believe we have the people, we have the good minds. If only we can sit down and decide to grow Nigeria. F the political class. They have nothing to offer. That's my personal belief. They have nothing. Because the truth is, when you enter that office, that's when you see that court boy, just like that course rep, that will tumble you. That's when you understand that Nigeria has a BOT made up of different cabals. And at the worst cabal is the people that are being led. Because we have a worst followership. Okay? So, let's look beyond now and create a brighter future for ourselves. We can achieve it. We can. I believe in us. I believe we have great minds. I believe we have good minds. I believe we have excellent minds. I believe we have people that can make things work. Only if we put in the right efforts. So let us put in the effort to build ourselves, become leaders in our company where we're working. Even if you're self-employed, become a leader in your own company. Find out what it takes to build yourself and build your company. Then create your vision. Your vision can be, okay, in the next 3 years I will employ 4 people, 5 people to add to myself. and you create other visions, and before you know what's happening, your company grows. Because the principle of success in life states that for every vision, everything you plan, every thought you think has the potential to manifest itself. That's the stuff of which life is built. Success follows thought, aspiration, and effort. Success is sure if you walk towards it. NEPA don't take light.